Hello, my name is Sergio Davila. I am a doctoral student with Liberty University. My discussion video will utilize background intel, providing current dissertation research, as well as pinpointing the methodology, content, primary and secondary sources, and conclusions pertaining to the comparison of traditional Cold War theory versus revisionist Cold War theory that have been researched and documented in a plethora of dissertations that are relevant to the topic at hand. There are volumes of research and scholars that have written many research papers on this project and topic, which makes it so interesting, being that there is a variety of thoughts and assumptions about Cold War revisionist and traditional theories. It looks like there is no loss for information. One of the dissertations I looked at, Cold War Merchants and the Commercialization of Space by doctoral candidate Sandra Piceno, really does a good job with explaining how the Cold War became a competition over who was superior in the science of astrophysics and aeronautics between the USA and the USSR. The other grand dissertation I researched was the New Left and the Cold War Revisionists, Analysis and Implications for Teaching History by FREDERICK. And he acknowledges that we must bring to reality that the Soviet Union should be held responsible for their aggressive policies. Yet, the United States should also be held responsible for their mistakes in judgment that may have provoked the Soviets. One being that we put nuclear missiles in Turkey, which was right on the border of the USSR. It was bound to make the Russians nervous that they had no warning time if we were to have launched our missiles at one of them from Istanbul. This was merely a product of the Cuban Missile Crisis. One of the many great points is that all those traditionalist and revisionist theories went out the window in the space race, just became a quest to truly forward humanity, with not just one mindset, to space and beyond. One thing that is certain is that many of us in the United States have been taught the traditionalist version of the Cold War, which blames the Russians for all the danger the Cold War wrought, with all their aggressive spread of communism throughout the globe. But we weren't ever taught the revisionist theory, which shifts the blame of the Cold War from the Soviet Union to the United States, arguing that the U.S. foreign policy, driven by economic interests and a desire for global dominance, was a primary cause of the conflict. While the Soviets did try to spread their influence to Cuba, Chile, Nicaragua, and Dominican Republic, it is safe to assume that the USA has helped NATO surround the USSR with its allies and plant nuclear weapons in Turkey aimed at the Soviet Union. My goal is to get people to think outside the box and see this as a multifaceted conflict with two sides that equally put the world in danger. One needs to also understand that the danger still exists today with the current geopolitical struggle between Ukraine and the Russian Federation, with the USA working as a possible peacemaker between the two warring factions. I am really looking forward to doing a dissertation on this topic, and I'm hoping that we find it pretty entertaining talking about it with each other on this discussion question here. Hope to hear from you all soon. Bye.